Today we're going to talk about a subject that's very important to basements. It's water. The fact that you don't want any, obviously, and we've had a lot of it in Central Ohio this year. Number one thing before we start any remodeling project, we want to make sure that there is no moisture around. Obviously, when you're in winter or something like that, it's hard to determine sometimes, so the history of your house with you is obviously very important. Endless different things to check on. Number one is gutters, downspouts, and getting the water away from the house all have to be clean. Depending on the types of trees and neighborhood you're in, you're going to have to do this 2 or 3 times a year, but you've got to get the gutters clean, because if they're overflowing, you're most likely going to get water at some point in time. The others are the downspouts. In this case here, we're going to look at one that was done improperly and also leads into old clay tile, which is about 60 years old, which is guaranteed to have roots and be crushed at some point along the line and should be replaced. The other from there is how the dirt around the house needs to slope away. You just cannot have flat surface right up to your house, or the water negative leading towards your house, which then dumps along the foundation. You've got to get this water away from the house by sloping the soil, and even patios, stuff like that, decks, they've got to go away from the house. Then from there, once we get inside, depending on your moisture level, you either need to use a dehumidifier, and that can be in the back room if that works. But what we also see sometimes is unfortunately, as human beings, male and female, have a tendency to hoard cardboard for some unknown reason. Store your items in plastic containers. Obviously, they do not absorb moisture. Also check your vent work, because if the humidity level is too high in your basement and you have AC on, you're going to get condensation on your vent lines, which adds a lot of moisture to the basement and creates mold and mildew. Concluding the water issue, on the inside, the most important thing is obviously that you have a sump pump that's working, and preferably even a backup on that. In this case here, this homeowner, which we did not install, has 2 sumps. This is a very large pit for a large home. 2 regular sumps and 2 battery backups. They don't want any issues at all, but yours should always work, and you need to check it. And if yours is on a GFI outlet, it's very important to make sure that that outlet is working and hasn't clicked out. The float of a sump is also very important. If you have one of the older ones that has a float, that it doesn't hit the side of the wall and get stuck. And also that the check valve is refusing to let the water come back into the pump after it goes out. So check all those things, and you'll have a dry basement.